This is how the hobby starts.
They freshly married, and instead of spending money on their honeymoon, they decided to put their money towards this pond. Super simple waterfall. We have a big rock, and then a piece of flagstone in the middle.
We've been together for almost 9 years.
Here it is, Jack.
I know. What do you think?
You know what? I think it's cute. This is how the hobby starts. I'm imagining they built it themselves, Jack?
Yes, they did.
Okay, so we're gonna go check out what started with a small little water feature and now is a pretty good sized water feature.
Yes, a little bit of an upgrade from this.
All right, let's check out another beautiful Aquascape ecosystem water feature. Now this is what living the aquascape lifestyle is all about. Wow, I love that waterfall. This is cool. So Jack Pasinski, hey buddy.
How you doing?
Jack is a 5-year-long teammate of Aquascape, and last year you created this for a couple that forwent their honeymoon instead, and they created this in their backyard, right?
Yep, that's exactly what happened. They freshly married, and instead of spending money on their honeymoon, they decided to put their money towards this pond.
So we're gonna put a link to Jack's video that he created out here when this couple got married, and instead of going on a honeymoon, they built the vacation at their own property. So I love this. You could actually see they're using Aquascape water treatments in their pond, adding bacteria, adding flocculant, adding the Aquascape products, and this is how it looks so good. So when someone's maintaining it, you can either do it manually or you can have an auto doser. I'll put a link below that will do it for you. And then what's the perfect place to keep your fish food? Right here in your own hammock. Look at those fish too, they're ready. They hear us coming up and they are ready to come over and eat. Beautiful fish. Shameless plug, Aquascape fish food for an Aquascape pond.
So this feature was a little bit of a challenge when we came in here. We actually had to go through the neighbor's yard just to get our machine into here, because you can see that we have some pretty large rocks in here. They decided to go with the moss rock granite look, so with us using moss rock, we have to get a machine in here to set a bunch of these rocks. But it was definitely a little bit of tight quarters because we had to sit our machine in this area here and work and get all in here done before we got that out of here. And then we had to do one rock at a time through the side of the house, underneath the carport, out to the front of the house. But it turned out absolutely spectacular. I love how we make it super interactive. I love how we have this super organic pathway coming and twisting and turning, leading to the side of the house. And we actually have we call it a peekaboo bridge, which you can walk in between, and you see this little sliver that you can see down into the water. And we actually have lights shining inside this, so at night when they're sitting out here, they can see the glowing effect coming from inside the steps. But you can tell that we wanted to make this kind of dog friendly. They have 2 dogs and they absolutely love water, so we wanted to make this beach area. Coming from their patio, they have these super cool hammock chairs that are sitting all on 3 sides. They sit in every night. They come out here, the dogs are always out, so we wanted to make an area for the dogs to come in, get a drink of water, get wet, because this right now is a good 8 inches deep, so the dogs can get in here, get wet, have a fun time, and then cool off in the summertime, especially when it's nice and hot like it is today. But I love how this waterfall turned out. Super simple waterfall. We have a big rock, and then a piece of flagstone in the middle to kind of accentuate that sound, pushing out this way. We kind of made a cavern look. Underneath there, it looks super cool at night with the light shining back behind this waterfall, illuminating that entire area. But as we continue on, we have this canyon look. We have these super deep shelves all in here, going underneath the steps, going down into our pond, and I just love how simple these waterfalls look. This waterfall here is super insignificant, and that is because obviously you really can't see anything because there is a retaining wall on this side. Nobody's really on this side, but we needed to have an elevation change dumping down into the pond, and we need some circulation pushing along all this way into our skimmer sitting over here. We have a 5 to 9,000, or we have a 4 to 7 pump, excuse me, feeding the waterfalls over there, and then we have an AquaSurge 2000 37,000, feeding the fire spill bowl sitting off to the side. This pond's roughly 3 feet deep. They wanted to go pretty deep in this area because they couldn't go wide, and they wanted to have some volume for the fish, and you can tell these fish are doing absolutely phenomenal, and you can tell how crystal clear that water is. You can see the gravel down the bottom. I love how they're adding finishing touches onto it. They've added a little bit more gravel in spots, they've added some trees, they've added some plants, and they've added some aquatics. I love when people can add some aquatics into their features. I think it just softens up the edges a little bit more than just the regular landscaping that you see all the way around the feature, and they're trying to go for the Japanese look, which this looks phenomenal out here. I love how this thing is turning out. Granted, it's only a year, so everything is still maturing, but it still looks absolutely wonderful, and I'm looking forward to the next couple of years when everything really flourishes and fills out nicely. You may be wondering how much this feature costed. This feature cost at $37,000, and that is for everything that you see here. It is the upgraded rock with the moss rock, the granite, all the pathway coming along this way here, and then we have obviously the pond over on this side with the fire spill bowl in the edge of the pond. So if $37,000 is your budget, then I think we can make that work with something like this size.
Kelly, I love the shirt.
Thanks, I wore it for the occasion.
So I would love to hear the story about you and your wife foregoing a honeymoon in order for the pond, or
Even more, so we moved out here from South Loop in the city, and rather than have a wedding, we've been together for almost 9 years. We've been married 2.
okay.
We put the money into a koi pond, and it's the best thing that's ever happened.
You know what? You get to live with it 365 days out of the year.
It's peace. I have a bad conference call and I go feed the fish, and it all goes away, so it's wonderful.
So you really did an extreme change around from living in the city to living with a suspension bridge and a koi pond.
A 50-foot bridge, lots of trees, rodents, deer that eat everything. Yeah, 21 years in the city, and it's been a heck of a change.
And how did you find Aquascape?
My wife has been following you for many years.
Okay, so it was really her idea?
Years before we even thought of moving.
Okay.
So when we found out that St. Charles has Aquascape, she was just tickled.
Yeah, you're 15 minutes from the office,
Right, and
right
I'm
here.
there 3 days a week.
You like to come in?
I do.
Yeah,
It's
isn't it
beautiful?
It's so fun. So you work from home?
Yeah, I've been working from home for over a decade.
So now that, this was inspired by your wife, but obviously you're equally jointed in loving it.
Yeah.
What's it like? How would you describe to somebody that hasn't lived this before what it's like living the Aquascape lifestyle?
People think it's a lot of work. It's really not. It's self-sustaining. It's beautiful. It's peaceful. It just keeps giving. It's beautiful. I would recommend it to anybody who has the space.
It changes the space.
It changes your life.
And there you have it. That's what living the Aquascape lifestyle is all about. I love my job. Well, thank you, Kelly.
Good man.
I was on this bridge last time when we were out here, but I was just too busy to walk across it. I'm gonna see if it can support my weight. Now, I'm not saying I'm a heavy guy or anything like that. I know I'm a light guy, so we're gonna see how much it can hold. If I fall, I'm sorry. There goes the channel. I think I made it.
All right, so you and your wife built, this was your first water feature that you had, right?
This was. We didn't know what we were doing, but we figured it out in one afternoon.
Nice. So this is how it all started. It's an addictive hobby, isn't it?
Oh, it's so addicting. So addicting.
I love it. This is how it starts. It starts with the little waterfalls that you build in an afternoon with your wife, and then all of a sudden you got instead of a wedding, you have an Aquascape ecosystem pond.
That's right.
Obviously, as the pond guy, I'm a little biased on whether I would take a honeymoon or have an ecosystem water feature. They're not inexpensive. It's not inexpensive to live the Aquascape lifestyle, but when you do it right and create a unique work of art, one-of-a-kind custom creation, you're gonna wanna sit there for hours on and enjoy it. If you're interested in living the Aquascape lifestyle, I'm gonna put a link below to find a certified Aquascape contractor by you. I love